Tonight on 7, a deadly rampage in California.
Male in black clothing, he's still firing rounds.
We have at least 20 victims.
Leading to a massive manhunt and tense shootout. Several killed, dozens hurt.
It just boom, 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 boom.
This is insane. This is crazy.
The night team covering the California shooting.
7 News at 10 starts now.
Tonight we have breaking details from the shootings in San Bernardino. Investigators revealing 2 of the shooters have been killed, a third person now in custody, but they aren't sure if that person is connected to the crimes. The news that the shooters are dead brings an end to a really terrifying day in San Bernardino.
As we've reported, 14 people killed, 17 others hurt in this sudden shooting that left an entire city on edge. There is still some concern tonight.
This is the scene in Redlands, California. Authorities say this is the suspect's home. They're searching for anything suspicious right now as we look over this scene live. Within the past half hour, people on the scene say they heard a loud bang at that home.
As investigators search for clues, families there are finally getting a chance to breathe as they cope with this horror and heartbreak and wait for answers.
And tonight, speaking of answers, some of the lingering questions are being resolved, including a possible motive for this massacre. We have night team coverage of the California shootings, including new information about the shooters and the tense, deadly standoff just a couple miles away from the massacre. We'll start with the night team's Tim Caputo in our newsroom with the latest from investigators.
Adam Kim, NBC News Now, reporting multiple law enforcement sources telling them they've identified one of the 3 attackers as a man named Syed Farouk. One of the other suspects is believed to be Farouk's brother, but to this point, police have not announced a motive in what is now the deadliest mass shooting in the U.S. in 3 years. 2 of the suspects, a man and a woman, were killed in a shootout with police. Officers say the duo threw pipe bombs at them during the chase. Officers were cautious when they approached their bullet-riddled SUV.
They were dressed in kind of assault-style clothing, I think is probably the best way to term it. They are both armed with assault rifles. They are both armed with handguns.
San Bernardino police say a third person was detained, and they're still trying to figure out if there are any more attackers on the run. A tip led police to the suspects 4 hours after gunmen opened fire inside the Inland Regional Center, where the county health department was hosting a holiday banquet. At least 14 people were killed. Another 17 were injured. Those trapped inside texted family members during the gunfire.
This is the way I was introduced to this today. It was emergency situation at my work, active shooter on site. We're all locked in offices on the floor. Please pray for us. So as a parent and as a father, you know, that's kind of like the worst thing that you can have come across your phone.
Witnesses say 3 people wearing masks and tactical gear opened fire using assault rifles.
She saw a guy dressed in all black, had a mask with a big gun. She didn't describe anything else, just other than it was a big gun and they were shooting at the first floor.
First responders set up triage areas in the building's parking lot. So many people injured, some were driven out of danger in a pickup truck. After getting inside the building, officers found at least 1 explosive device left behind. President Obama was briefed about the shooting during an interview and again referenced the need for stricter gun laws.
Obviously, our hearts go out to the victims and the families. The one thing we do know is that we have a pattern now of mass shootings in this country that has no parallel anywhere else in the world. And there's some steps we could take, not to eliminate every one of these mass shootings, but to improve the odds that they don't happen as frequently. Common sense gun safety laws, stronger background checks.
This is now the deadliest mass shooting since Sandy Hook. Investigators don't yet know a motive, but with 2 suspects dead and 1 being questioned, it's only a matter of time before they find out.
I know one of the big questions that will come up repeatedly is this terrorism? And I am still not willing to say that we know that for sure. We are definitely making some movements that it is a possibility. We are making some adjustments to our investigation. It is a possibility, but we don't know that yet.
2 assault rifles and 2 handguns believed to be used in that shooting have been recovered, and at this point, federal investigators have focused their attention on the home of one of the suspects. Live in the newsroom, Tim Caputo, 7 News 19.
And the horrifying day in California coming to a close with an intense search by SWAT teams. Here's the night team's Ryan Schulteis with a closer look at the time a neighborhood spent in lockdown.
And Kim, there were definitely terrifying moments for people living in that area. Not only were 2 suspects shot dead nearby, but police swarmed that neighborhood not knowing if a third suspect was still on the run.
We can actually see people running right now from our live picture.
Police race around an entire neighborhood on lockdown as police tried to figure out if there were more suspects in the mass shooting.
Officers are now relocating. They're calling for backup.
Officers in full tactical gear swarm the area on foot, often carted around on a heavily armored vehicle.
We heard the sirens coming, and next thing we know, they sound like they stopped right here on the next block, and then gunfire just erupted.
Neighbors shaken by what they saw and heard.
It went on for at least 5-10 minutes. They were shooting constantly. I mean, just gunfire was just erupting, automatic fire, and then there was a few explosions. They quieted down for a second, and then it just erupted again, like they didn't get them with the explosions or something. And it was just unbelievable. They shot so many shots. I mean, we were ducking down over here, and we just couldn't believe it. It just sounded like there was a war going on.
SWAT teams spending hours going home by home with guns drawn, searching every building.
We locked down the neighborhood. We asked people to shelter in place, and we searched that neighborhood extensively. As of a couple minutes ago, we just got word that that search has been wrapped up. No additional folks have been contacted or seen there, so we feel that that area is safe and we can lift that shelter in place order there.
So the situation in that neighborhood is under control tonight. In the newsroom, Ryan Schulteis, 7 News 19.
Witnesses inside the Inland Center ducking for cover as the gunman stormed in without warning and started to fire. People outside the building describing the frantic gunfire and panic on the streets. The night team's Elizabeth Noreka in our control room with the first-hand accounts from witnesses.
Adam, no doubt a terrifying time for those inside. Many say they didn't know what was going on. Others that did say they were just trying to stay alive. Everyone describing a chaotic and terrifying situation.
Horrific, scary, nervous. I just want to see my kids.
Workers inside the Inland Regional Center in San Bernardino describe the moments when a gunman opens fire.
And heard another coworker screaming, "There's a shooting, there's a shooting, there's a shooting. Oh my God, she got shot."
Many hid in closets or locked their office doors, fearing for their safety, unsure exactly what was going on. This woman says she hid inside a closet for about 30 minutes.
No, we had our texts and we were keeping communication open and everybody pulled together.
Others were going about their daily routines when shots rang out.
It was like a normal day, and then next thing you know, we just hear this big boom, and it kept on going and going, and it was bad.
It sounded like a gun range, just shots going off like crazy. It was a lot of shots.
Once families were finally able to meet up with their loved ones, there were a lot of hugs and tears. Relief for those who made it out alive, but grief for those who didn't.
Fortunately, she made it out fine. Unfortunately, others didn't, but my thoughts are with their families.
Once again, of those inside, 14 were killed, 17 hurt. In the control room, Elizabeth Noreka, 7 News 19.
Right now, there are limited details about the shooters, but investigators have revealed new information in the past hour and some information about a possible motive. The night team's Kimberly Bookman joins us now with what we've learned.
Well, Kim, 4.5 hours after the shooting, police got a tip that led them to the alleged suspects. And NBC News is reporting that one of the suspects is a man named Saeed Farouk, an American citizen, as we have reported. It is believed a second suspect may be Farouk's brother. Police have also said a woman was involved in this shooting spree.
That black SUV in the middle of your screen is the getaway car authorities say they were looking for. And inside, at least 2 of the possible 3 shooting suspects. But it wasn't an easy end. You can see the windshield busted by bullet holes. That's because when law enforcement cornered the car, it sparked a gun battle with the people inside.
We have 2 suspects that are dead at the scene. One is a male, one is a female.
Police say they were dressed like they had been in battle.
They were dressed in kind of assault-style clothing. They are both armed with assault rifles. They are both armed with handguns.
A third man seen running away was also detained.
We're going to try to continue to identify if there was a third person involved or potentially even more people that might have been involved in the planning.
Now the investigation turns to who these people are and why they allegedly opened fire. One theory investigators say they are looking into is that someone left a holiday party in that San Bernardino building because of a dispute.
Somebody did leave. There was some type of dispute or something when somebody left that party, but we have no idea if those are the people that came back.
Now, the investigation into the suspects hardly ends here. Police say they are looking for other people who may have been involved in the planning of this attack. Kimberly Bookman, 7 News, Night Team.
Boston police just released a statement saying there is no specific threat to this city tonight, but officers are keeping a close eye on the situation in California. Massachusetts state officials are weighing in on the tragedy. Our governor, Charlie Baker, tweeting out this: "Our thoughts and prayers are with the victims and families impacted by this horrific tragedy in San Bernardino. As this situation remains active, Mass state police and public safety officials will remain in constant contact with federal partners." And state police released a statement saying this: "Troopers across the state routinely operate with heightened awareness and constant vigilance for any suspicious activity. Likewise, we remind our citizens to call police immediately if they see anyone or anything suspicious or seemingly out of place for their surroundings."
Today's shooting leading to worry and confusion for families of those inside the Inland Center. But some relatives did receive glimmers of hope in the form of those text messages from loved ones hiding inside. Night Team's Brandon Gano continues our coverage with some emotional but very welcomed messages.
That's right, Kim. You know, it was with mixed emotions, really. The family members that were not able to get in touch with their loved ones had the fear of the unknown, but family members who received text messages were relieved, yet also couldn't believe what they were reading.
She just said there was a shooting. She's scared. She's hiding in the closet.
It's terrible. It's terrible. I have no words to describe it.
Your sister's in there?
Well, she works there. I haven't been able to contact her.
Family members with loved ones inside felt hopeless. Their cell phones, if they were lucky, was the only way to know if their loved ones were alive.
He's in there, him and his brother. If you see this, Brian, call me. Let me know that you and your brother are okay, so I could give word back to the family. Everybody's worried about you guys.
This mother and father found out their daughter was inside from a text saying, "Active shooter on site. Please pray for us."
The SWAT team is on site trying to secure the building. I'm in a tiny room with a bunch of people. We're freaking out. Please pray for us.
She's so scared. She's kept saying, "I'm so scared right now."
Outside the facility, everyone was pacing and texting with those still inside.
They turned off the lights and tried to block the door and lock it so that they couldn't get in if the shooters were around that area.
Shooting at my work, people shot. In the office waiting for cops. She texted, and so they're both hiding.
As we speak.
Even after survivors were safe, all they could do was text their loved ones until police escorted them to the area where family members were being held.
There's relief knowing that she's okay. We don't know what, is still going on. So that's the scary part, the unknown still of the whole situation.
And here is just one of the moments so many family members were waiting on, hugging their loved ones after seeing them safe for the first time since this tragedy began.
My daughter's out of the building and she's safe.
You just got the call?
Yeah.
How are you feeling right now?
Relieved.
And Scott Murphy, who you just saw with his wife, said as a parent, it was the worst text you could ever see come across your phone. He was reunited with his daughter, though, who is okay sometime later. In the newsroom, Brandon Gano, 7 News 19.
We'll take another live look from Redlands, California, where police are searching through the home of one of the shooters. Within the past hour, people near that house reported hearing a loud bang, but there is no word of any explosives discovered there.
And there are still so many unanswered questions tonight from the San Bernardino shootings. Stay with 7 News on air and online for instant updates. If we get new information about these shooters or what's happening at that apartment, the victims, the investigation, we will send out breaking news alerts on WHDH.com and the 7 News mobile and tablet apps.
The Night Team is following more news tonight. Coming up next, there's a murder mystery in Worcester.
A family mourning a young woman stabbed in the street. Tonight, the key piece of evidence that could lead police to the suspects.
Then, learning his punishment from his team. What the 76ers are saying about their Stars' brawl on the streets of Boston.
And a man in custody in connection with a local football star stabbing. What led to a break in this case?
Okay, Kim, our weather is turning drier for tomorrow. A lot of wind in store. We'll take a look ahead.
And we're staying on top of that breaking news. A mass shooting in California, leaving at least 14 people dead. Police have killed 2 of the suspects. 1 person is in custody. Keeping a close eye on this story, we'll bring you the very latest information the second we get it.